Man, this season has been quite the ride. As a Chiefs fan, I'm glad it's almost over. Fuck this season. Hey there, peeps. Detective Boo here. I'm still struggling to cope with reality as a Chiefs fan and the fact that we're going to be under 500 for the first time since the Matt Castle days. But anyways, we're back here. We're predicting some more games this week. Um, I wasn't able to do week 17 on stream, so I kind of posted them in a post from earlier, back a week ago or about or something. Yeah, that was rough. 8-8 this past week. I got a bunch of stuff wrong, and there's a couple of upsets that happened earlier. I probably would have been fine if I at least hit like one of the other like primetime games. The Bills lost, the Bears lost, and the Rams lost. The Bears I kind of maybe expected to lose a little bit compared to the other two, but dang, it was just a really, really difficult week to watch. Um, in terms of pick'ems, but hey, the Chiefs at least looked good without their starting two quarterbacks. So and a bunch of their starters. So I'll take that. But yes, week 18. There's a lot on the table this week from a couple of games, but then there's also some games where it may not be as great. So maybe this week it'll be a bit of a shorter stream, just because there's going to be a lot to go through, but there's going to be quite a few predictable games this week as we head into the postseason. I will be doing these pick'ems during the postseason, and how that's going to work is the exact same as last year's. Pick'ems will be like once a week, as always, for each round. Obviously, for the Pro Bowl week, there's not going to be nothing because there's only one thing to predict. Hello, Zero. How are you doing? I may get Andrew here to do some of the later rounds, or maybe even the playoff picture. I'll have to check in with him about it. But I am a little excited to see where this thing goes. Hello, Lucky. Oh, oh yeah, Lucky. I made that post when I was still in 2025, so I'm technically not wrong. It's just for the Eastern folks, it looked like it was gonna be it looked like it was gonna be 2027, but no, I was just fucking around with you. But anyways, there's a lot on the plate this week. A bunch of different scenarios could happen. But we'll see how things go. Starting things off with two, yes, count them, two Saturday matches. Starting with the 3:30 matchup, on Saturday on ESPN, you got the Carolina Panthers sitting at 8-8, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sitting at 7-9. The Panthers, it was not the greatest performance this past week by the Panthers and Bryce Young. Seattle's defense completely wrecked him, although they stayed in the game for quite some time, so you give them credit where credit is due. But Seattle just took control at the end of the game. Carolina's offense couldn't get anything going. Bryce Young didn't look like he had the greatest game, but there's always room to bounce back. This Panthers team has just been so consistent. They cannot clinch anything to save their lives. They cannot take advantage of a lot to save their lives. But on the other side of the ball, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still in this slide. They have lost now 5 games in a row. 4 games in a row, I'm sorry. 4 games in a row, and they've lost 7 of their past 8 games. This team was once 6-1, I believe. It has not been the great season for the Buccaneers past. This team was 6-2, so they've lost 7 of the last 8 games. It has not been a great second half of the year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know they've been getting players back, but this team has just not been able to put it together. Todd Bowles is probably coaching for his job in this game, as a loss would probably get him fired. But the crazy thing about this game is, this game might not even matter for the divisional race, because this game is on primetime for potentially the NFC South. If the Panthers win, they'll walk up the NFC South. But if Tampa wins, there's an interesting scenario with the Falcons winning this past week. The Falcons now sit at 7-9, which means while they're still eliminated from the postseason, they could really shake things up for these other two teams. Because if the Falcons beat the Saints on Sunday, this game does not matter. Carolina will win the division no matter who wins this game if Atlanta beats New Orleans on Sunday. So Tampa Bay not only has to somehow play the best football they've played all season long to beat the Panthers, or at least the best football they've played in these past few weeks, but they also have to pray that the Saints continue their little winning streak and beat the Falcons on Sunday for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get into the playoffs. So you got a lot riding on this game. You saw these two teams meet 2 weeks ago in Carolina, where the Panthers ended up taking that game, which puts them into this spot right here. Neither team played particularly great that day, but I think this is a very, very big spot for both of these teams. I don't expect either of them to go very far in the playoffs, but hey, saying you at least got there is going to mean quite a lot. So the thing is, both of these teams probably shouldn't be winning this game. They both have very, very many reasons to lose. But in this game, I gotta go with Carolina. They've been inconsistent, yes, but they've been they've been inconsistent with a pattern. They've won, lost, which means they should be winning this game. Plus, I have no good reason to pick Tampa Bay right now. They've just looked really, really bad. And I can't believe I was saying at like week 8, this team was probably the best team in football. Now they just look like they're like struggling out there to produce much. So give me the Panthers in this one, and that Falcons Saints game should not matter at the end of the day. Following that, this is gonna be a great one. This probably should have been the Sunday night game, but who cares at this point? You got the Seattle Seahawks sitting at 13-3, taking on the San Francisco 49ers sitting at 12-4. The Seahawks, we just talked about them a little bit. They took a little bit for that offense to get rolling, but once they did, it was a pretty easy game in Carolina. They took care of business there, and suddenly, this team is now one win away from securing a 14-win season for the first time in so long. I don't know if they've ever had a 14-win season, I'm going to be honest, but there's one thing standing in their way this week, and that's the red-hot San Francisco 49ers, who just won a classic shootout in Santa Clara, beating the Bears 42-38. Brock Purdy played his heart out that game. Christian McCaffrey got it going on the ground. It was a great game for the San Francisco offense against a typically pretty good Bears defense. And the 49ers just continuing their hot streak. Both of these teams have actually won 6 games in a row and now find themselves battling for not just the NFC West, but for the NFC's number 1 overall seed and a bye. And this game is going to mean a lot to San Francisco, because if they win this game, because of where the Super Bowl is being played at this year, they won't just have home field advantage for throughout the entire NFC playoffs if they win this game, but throughout the entire postseason. Yes, the Super Bowl 60 is going to be played in Santa Clara this year. So, the 49ers have a really big reason to play. Now, the thing is, both of these teams have a lot going for them. The Seahawks, their biggest strength is that defense. That defense is going to be really, really difficult to penetrate. But if we've seen what the 49ers have done, they have been able to really defy the odds now. And they have a chance in this game. They genuinely do. But I think I gotta go with Seattle here. As long as Sam Darnold doesn't repeat what he did last time, he was in the scenario of a winner take the number 1 seed, I think he'll be just fine. But if he struggles out there, it's going to be a long day for the Seahawks. I think, though, the Seahawks definitely have the better defense this year than the Vikings did, and that's going to be beneficial for Darnold, so he's not entirely put on pressure to go lights out. But I still think this is going to be a really good classic matchup. Give me the Seahawks in this game. It's going to be a good one. Up next, though, An NFC South tilt. We got a a couple, just a handful of noon games. I believe just 6 this week. Starting off things off on the noon slate, you got the New Orleans Saints sitting at 6-10, battling the Atlanta Falcons sitting at 7-9. The Saints, whew, maybe they actually found their quarterback. I know they haven't been playing the toughest of competition as of late. Their 5 game winning, their 4 game winning streak consisted of the Buccaneers, Panthers, Jets, and Titans. But it has been so good for the Saints fans just to see Tyler Shook playing really good football on in these past few weeks. Maybe they found some guy that they can develop over the offseason. Who knows? But the Saints are on a bit of a hot streak right now, winning their past 4 games. And suddenly, this team went from probably getting one of the first overall picks, maybe battling for that spot, to now being a reasonably decent 7-10 team going into the offseason with a good chunk of momentum. You little shit, you got me on that. Yeah, I did. But the Saints, they've been playing some pretty damn good football. I know that, again, the competition hasn't been that great, but you gotta love what you see here. On the other side of the football, the Falcons. Whew, that was a masterclass of an upset. The Falcons knocked off the Rams on Monday Night Football. Bijan Robinson went off on that game. 195 yards on 22 carries, averaging about 9 yards per carry. Whew, that was terrific. He also got a touchdown on the game. So the Falcons found a way. Unfortunately, they're playing good football when it doesn't matter, which is probably the most frustrating part as a Falcons fan at this point. But maybe something can grow over the offseason. It probably won't. But both of these teams are probably playing for pride at this point. The Falcons may also be playing just to play spoiler for the Buccaneers, depending on what happens in their game. The Saints, though. It just looks like the Saints team looks really damn good. And I know the Falcons are playing at home in this game. But something's telling me New Orleans. Give me the Saints in this one. I know they, again, all season long, I've been saying they don't particularly play good on the road. But the Saints team has actually been playing pretty damn good as of late against this kind of level of competition. And the Falcons, I think most of their success has been coming from more of the elites, not necessarily the teams that they probably should be beating, although they did beat the Cardinals and Bucks. So maybe they found a little bit of momentum. Who knows? These two teams faced off a few weeks ago with the Falcons winning. I think New Orleans takes this one, but yeah, it's going to be, maybe this one might not be as bad of a matchup. Next up, though, you got the Cleveland Browns sitting at 4-12, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, sitting at 6-10. The Browns. Well, Baltimore's going to be sending you their thanks. You just knocked off the Steelers and sent that division into a tiebreaker for Sunday Night Football. Good for you, Browns. Unfortunately, not a whole lot really went well on the offensive side of the ball. You were hoping to see a little bit more of a production from Shooter Sanders, but he didn't have that particularly good of a game, at least on the stat sheet. However, that defense, though, has been really, really good as of late. The Browns, just maybe they'll find something to, over the offseason, to put together that offense a little bit more to help out. And plus, Myles Garrett, unfortunately, did not get the sack record this past weekend, but maybe he'll get it this week. With 1 week left in the season, he's going for the sack record for the most amount of sacks in a single season, so maybe he'll get it this week. As for the Bengals, yeah, that was a rocking performance against the Cardinals. Unfortunately, you probably went a little too late with it. You probably could have used those games against the Bills and Ravens to be sitting at 8-8 instead, and maybe trying to catch Pittsburgh for the title for the NFC or AFC North. But unfortunately for them, it just wasn't meant to be this year. Over the offseason, definitely both of these teams need to improve their offense. And Cincinnati, especially their O-line, so Joe Burrow does not get killed back there. But The way Cincinnati's been playing recently, I gotta go with Cincinnati. They've been playing top-notch football as of late, even though it clearly doesn't matter. But it's a bit inspiring to see it at the end of the day. If they get that O-line fixed, maybe Cincinnati will be a pretty damn good contender next year. Who knows? But this time around, I'm going Cincinnati over Cleveland, especially in Cincinnati. So, yeah. Up next, though, you got the Green Bay Packers sitting at 9-6-1, taking on the Minnesota Vikings, sitting at 8-8. The Packers. Um, yeah, Green Bay, you might be in trouble. You might be in trouble right now. The Packers. Ugh, yeah, that was a beatdown by Derrick Henry and the Baltimore Ravens on Saturday. It was not all fun for any of them. Plus, Malik Willis went down during the game. Hopefully, he is one either him or Love will be back for the Sunday game. But we'll see how things go. Malik Willis is questionable for this game. We don't know if they're going to be having Jordan Love. Most likely not, as he's probably still recovering from the concussion he suffered against the Chicago Bears. But Green Bay needs to get their guys healthy. They did claim Trayvon Diggs off. They did sign him before this week, so maybe he might get some time to fuel up before the playoffs begin. I highly doubt he's going to be playing this week as he's still recovering from some sort of leg injury. But the Packers really need to get some of their guys back that they can. That defense has not looked the same since Micah Parsons got hurt. And the offense has just not been clicking for this team again. It's choosing the worst time not to click. So, the Packers definitely need to get something rolling. As for the Vikings, yeah, you've just fucking humiliated the Lions on Sunday. That was not even close. Oh, who was it? Max Brosmer? Oh boy, Max Brosmer. Oh yeah, Lions, we're gonna get to you in a moment. Don't worry. But still, the Vikings, they didn't even play that great of a game. It's just the Lions did not play any better. But maybe the Vikings will get a little bit of a prize this week. Maybe they do something in Green Bay. However, I think Green Bay knows that they need to go into the postseason at least on the right foot. So despite the injuries, I am going to go with the Packers in this game. It's not going to be a pretty game. I expect it to maybe be around a medium scoring game, maybe like in the 20s of some sort. But if the Packers can get stuff rolling and again, maybe find their offensive groove, maybe they'll have a good time with the Vikings, because the Vikings offense just does not look that great still, even with Brosmer in play. So, give me the Packers in this one. I would not be surprised if the Vikings somehow pull this off. Up next, though, you got the Dallas Cowboys sitting at 7-8-1, taking on the New York Giants sitting at 3-13. Damn, Cowboys. If only you fucking finished off Green Bay on that Sunday game and had that stupid tie as a win, you actually would have had a chance to be in the postseason right now. Probably, I'm not saying you would have been, but you could have been sitting at least a good chance this upcoming week. But the Cowboys, yeah, it's just gonna be really interesting going forward. They got the good win against Washington, although Washington was also playing a lot of their backups, including their quarterback position. But the Cowboys always getting a good win on Christmas. You'll always take it as a Cowboys fan, especially with the season lost as it is. Maybe next year they'll find some key positions to maybe make a playoff push next season. As for the Giants, yeah, you probably ruined your chances at the number 1 overall pick in the draft, but at least you looked good doing it. Although, be it against the Raiders in Las Vegas in a beatdown, but at this point, you'll take anything you can get. New York has been really tainted by injuries this year. I really thought this team could have been something special in the middle of the year. Had they had their guys, maybe they could have made some upsets happen. But it's just not been that kind of year for New York. Maybe in the offseason they'll pick up some stuff to help better protect Jackson Dart a little bit, especially since he's been looking pretty decent since he's come back. But in this scenario, I gotta go with Dallas in this game. Get a win to end the year on a high note. And yeah, we'll see how both of these teams look going into the offseason. Up next, looking at the screen, we got two AFC South games to predict. These are the last noon games. You got the Tennessee Titans sitting at 3-13, taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars sitting at 12-4. The Titans, they lost, but they looked actually pretty good doing it. The Titans, maybe you got a future with Cam Ward. You just need to find some guys to protect him, and maybe some receivers, and probably a defense that also help him. Ward can't do it by himself, But the Titans, they weren't all that bad this year, despite the record. They've at least been competitive in some games. But it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a pretty long offseason for the Titans if you don't address the issues that you need to get addressed. Maybe this team, your goal for next year should be trying to get maybe around 6 or 7 wins. Get some progress going for the Titans. And if you get super lucky, you may even claim a wild card berth. But this year, it's just not in the cards. Yeah, and you're probably not going to get a victory in this game, especially since you're trying to tank. As the Jaguars, on the other side of the football, they've looked really good. They did escape Indy with a bit of a scare, but you got the win when you really needed to get the win, and that's what really matters the most to Jaguars fans at this point. You have your first 12-win season, I believe, since like the 90s, I want to say. You'll take that any day. And Jacksonville, if you don't do it this year, when will you ever do it? But Jacksonville, their job isn't done yet. They have a chance to not only win the division, but they also have a chance to even claim the 1 seed if a couple things, very unlikely things, go their way. So, the Jaguars are going to be having a lot to play for. Tennessee also has a thing to play for, just on the opposite direction. So, I'm going to go with the Jaguars in this game. They're going to go all out, especially in Jacksonville. I expect the Jaguars to take care of business against Tennessee and lock up the AFC South for the first time since 2017 and claim their first 13-win season, maybe in ever. Next up, you got the Indianapolis Colts sitting at 8-8, taking on the Houston Texans sitting at 11-5. The Colts, Week 8, man, feels like a lifetime ago. The Colts at 8-2 in Week 8 stood a 98% chance to win or to get into the postseason. Now, they're out. There's no way for them to get in. Sitting at 8-8, the Texans and the Texans, Chargers, and Bills are all too far to catch. So, what do you do about this year? It's just not been the greatest year. Daniel Jones going down especially really killed your chances. Rivers, though, give credit to him. He actually helped your team at least stay competitive in your past 3 games, even though you didn't win any of them. There's got to be issues to address in the offseason. They finally shut down Jonathan Taylor during the middle of the year, and that really helped teams beat Indy. Their defense has not really been that great this season, but maybe you got something in Jones. Who knows? It also doesn't help that their toughest stretch of the season wasn't until the second half. So you didn't really have a great idea of what this team was going to look like until then. But maybe you can end things on a high note and get an upset. However, the problem is you're taking on the Texans, who right now are the hottest team in football. And it's almost not even close. The Texans have won 8 straight games. They have went from 3-5 to 11-5. They went from 0-3 to an 11-5. They've won 11 of their past 13 games. That's incredible, man. This team finally found its form at the perfect time. And yes, while all games since then have not been pretty, take a look at that Raiders game. The game against LA, that was probably some really, really good Texans football. And I would not be surprised if this team was a dark horse to make the Super Bowl this year. The Texans has just played really good football these past few months. And yeah, they've really made a turn for the better. CJ Stroud's finally looking locked in. That offense is playing pretty well despite the O-line still be kind of shaky. The defense, though, has been locked down. That defense is really, really golden. And yeah, this team is going to be dangerous in this postseason. This team is definitely a dark horse pick for a lot of people. But in this game, they're easily the favorites. I'm going Houston in this game. Get the win. They also still have stuff to play for. If the Bills and Chargers also fumble a little bit, Houston can get a higher seed. I believe they're holding the 5 or 6 seed right now. Let me check real quick because you always want to check. They're holding the 5 seed. So they're playing to really maybe even catch the Jaguars for the division title, or they're going to be playing to maintain the 5 seed and get the Steelers or Ravens in the wild card round. So, give me the Texans in this one. It's going to be really interesting, though. All right, we got 7, count them, 7 325 games this week to make up, and then one Sunday night game to make our final 8 predictions for the season. But first up, starting the 325 slate, you got the New York Jets sitting at 3-13, taking on the Buffalo Bills, sitting at 11-5. The Jets, this season cannot end soon enough. This has been a nightmare of a season for New York. And there's one thing you got to look forward to in the offseason. It's the Sauce Gardner trade. The problem I didn't mention for Indy is that the Sauce Gardner trade really, really hurt the Colts in a lot of ways with them going on that 6-game losing streak. Because now the Jets have pretty much a lot of their capital in terms of draft picks. So the Jets may actually be able to build something and be a little less embarrassing next year. So New York's got that to look forward to. On the other side of the ball, the Bills currently hold the 6th seed in the AFC wildcard race. Which means if the season ended today, they'd hold the 7th seed. They'd be going to New England. So, yeah, you might want to improve that a little bit. Maybe get a more favorable matchup in the wild card round. So they definitely have stuff to play for. The Bills also they did not play very well against Philadelphia last week. The offense couldn't get anything going. They were shut out in the entire first half, and then they barely got anything going in the second half when their defense finally made stops against Philly's really, really bad offense. So, I'm a little nervous for the Bills going into the postseason, but I got to go with the Bills in this game. Take care of business, beat the Jets, secure maybe a possible higher seed, because now that you've lost in the AFC East title race, you got to play maybe, most likely, at least 2 away games to reach the Super Bowl, which is going to be really, really difficult to do. So, give me the Bills in this one. Yeah, we'll see how things go for them. Next, you got the Detroit Lions sitting at 8-8, taking on the Chicago Bears sitting at 11-5. The Lions. Oh my god, that was probably the most humiliating way I've ever seen a team exit the postseason. Don't look at my Chiefs, please. The Lions just put up 0 fight against the Minnesota Vikings, losing 23-10. That offense just could not get anything going, and the defense let Max Brosmer cook them up a little bit in the second half. The Lions, they're not only out of the postseason altogether after a 15-2 season last year, with all of that talent, they're not even in third place in their division anymore. They're in last. And they have a very, very big possibility of getting a losing record this year. And yeah, it just stings as a Lions fan seeing them go out in this way. But there's got to be issues to address. The Lions really miss Ben Johnson. They really miss his play calling. The Lions offense just has not looked the same since he left. And speaking of Ben Johnson, whoa, I know the Bears lost on Sunday Night Football, but the Bears looked good. Caleb Williams maybe not had the greatest of games. He did miss a few throws, but a lot of them were drop passes, and he did manage to get his team down at the end before missing him the guy in the back of the end zone, which wasn't entirely his fault. He was being pressured. His own line let him down on that last play, but the Bears still put up a really good performance on Sunday Night Football against San Francisco. Unfortunately, it lost them their chance to claim the 1 seed. So now they're just playing to get maybe the Packers in the NFC wildcard round, which almost, considering the history, you almost don't want the Packers in your round. But in terms of this game, I got to go with the Bears. They're going to be playing for something. Detroit may, in terms of schedule, they may get align themselves to get like the Cardinals, the Giants, and either the Falcons or Saints in their schedule next year. So give me the Bears in this one. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting offseason for the Lions, and we'll see how the Bears do into the postseason. Up next, oh boy, look at the line. Look at the line for this game. Oh my god, if these two teams were actually playing their hearts out, this would have been a great game. You got the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Denver Broncos. The Chargers, that was not a great game against Houston, and now Justin Herbert, they've ruled him out for this game, which are probably most likely because they were wanting to rest him for the postseason, which on all fairness is good. Just because you don't want your quarterback getting hurt anymore before the postseason begins. And yeah, unfortunate for that, we were kind of robbed a good game because Denver has something to play for still. Because of their victory against Kansas City, they still maintain a spot for the 1 seed. And if they win this game, they claim it. So, in this game, I gotta go Denver. LA's basically playing their beat team right now. The Broncos are gonna be going full force against the Chargers. So, yeah. Expect the Chargers to also be the 7th seed in this postseason. I would be very shocked if the Bills lost to the Jets and somehow stayed as the 7th seed. But give me the Broncos. We'll see how these two teams do in the postseason. Then, up next, oh boy, I'm so sorry for the people who have to watch this game. You got the team from the heart of America, the Kansas City Chiefs, taking on the NFL, just not this century's, just maybe NFL's this century's version of the Black Plague, the bubonic plague, the Black Death, in not a great way. The Las Vegas Raiders. Both of these teams have just essentially surrendered this game, but someone has to win this one. The Chiefs, yeah, they're resting a lot of starters, and what I want to see as a Chiefs fan, I need to see these young guns starting to play. Because in all likelihood, you're not going to win this game, or you're not going to lose this game to the Raiders, who are trying to claim the first overall pick in the NFL draft. So the Chiefs, I'd like to see them play some of the younger players. I know this is potentially Travis Kelce's final game as an NFL player and as a Kansas City Chief. So you also want to send him out on a high note, get the young guns playing as well. As for the Raiders, they need a lot of help. Fortunately for them, Fernando Mendoza is just one loss away. And maybe they'll fix things. I don't know. That coaching is still terrible. But the Raiders, they're trying to play for the future. They're going to try and lose this game. The Chiefs also kind of want to lose this game. And in terms of this game, I think the Raiders are going to suck a lot more because they've also benched a lot of players, including Max Crosby. Give me the Chiefs in this one. End the year on a high note at the very least of this very forgettable season. And yeah, we'll see how things go from there. Up next, though, we got 3 more afternoon games. You got the Arizona Cardinals sitting at 3-13, taking on the LA Rams sitting at 11-5. The Cardinals this season has just been a monstrosity. The Cardinals do not look very good at all, and they just got completely outmatched by Cincinnati in their Week 17 game. Yeah, this team This is probably the last year of the Kyler Murray era. You're hopefully going to be looking for a decent quarterback in the draft. And yeah, maybe tank another year, get another set of good guys to help your new quarterback out. And your coaching is going to be under fire this season, as this Cardinals team has just been in very bottom of the barrel purgatory for quite some time. And for the Rams, that was very embarrassing. Yes, I know. I mean, Stafford's still going to be a big favorite to win the MVP, but he's just not played well in the past two games. Made too many mistakes for the Rams, and they end up losing by 3. They were down 21-0 to the Falcons. They came back, but they still lost that game. And now you're looking on all the likelihood of being a 6th seed and traveling to either Chicago or Philadelphia instead of getting the NFC South winner. So, yeah, it's just not great for the Rams right now. But in this game, they also want to try and maybe catch the 5th seed. So give me the Rams in this one. Oh boy, yeah, it's just not been a great season for the Cardinals. I can in no right mind can pick them, and for the Rams, they still got a little bit of stuff to play for. So give me the Rams in this one. Wishing the Rams the best in the postseason. Up next, you got the Miami Dolphins sitting at 7-9, taking on the New England Patriots sitting at 13-3. The Dolphins, they got a pretty decent game out of Quinn Ewers. Good enough to take the victory against Tampa Bay, a team that was on the slide. The Dolphins, maybe you'll look into Quinn Ewers being your future in Miami. Maybe this is the end of the Tua Tagovailoa era. So, you got a lot of questions in your offseason. The Patriots, though, they're trying to look towards now. They have claimed the division last week with their mind-boggling victory over the New York Jets. And the Bills collapsing against Philadelphia. So, in terms of this game, the Patriots now they're just looking to see if the Broncos somehow stumble against the Chargers and potentially take the number 1 overall seed in the AFC and have the playoffs in the AFC run through New England. But the Broncos are playing a Chargers team that are resting their starters. So it's in all likelihood New England's just trying to keep the 2 seed away from Jacksonville and get whoever is the bottom of the barrel of the AFC wildcard teams in the playoffs. So, yeah, and also claim a very key home matchup in the AFC divisional round. So, give me the Patriots in this one. I think they take care of business against Miami. I know Miami's been playing pretty decent football, but I don't think it's going to be enough against a Patriots team that really wants this 2 seed. So, give me the Patriots. It's going to be an interesting game, to say the least. Up next, this would have been I thought this was going to be probably one of the best games of the season at the very beginning of the season. This probably would have been my Sunday night pick if I didn't know what happened during the season. You got the Washington Commanders sitting at 4-12, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles sitting at 11-5. The Commanders, this has been a really tough season. I mean, I think everyone kind of figured the Commanders were going to take a step back this season after their phenomenal year last year. But the way they've done it is just super ugly. Injuries plague this team quite a lot. And then you also got questions in terms of coaching a little bit. But you also are really missing some key pieces to help Jaden Daniels develop a little bit more. And this offseason is probably where you got to have to address those issues. And the Commanders are hoping to get back into title contention this upcoming year. Maybe see themselves get to the Super Bowl? Who knows? But it's just been a tough year for Washington. And for Philly, yes, they won the division back-to-back years. And it's actually looking quite likely that they may be the only team in the NFL to do it. But, this year at least. But the Eagles' offense has been so freaking unbearable to watch. Andrew, I feel sorry for you a little bit. The Eagles barely beat the Bills 13-12. That offense was limited in the first half and then completely shut down in the second half. Jalen Hurts did not have a great game. Barkley did get some stuff going on the ground, but it probably wasn't as much as the Eagles were hoping it to be. And the Eagles, despite getting a win, it's just going to be very, very interesting going into the postseason. The Eagles, though, have something to play for. They have the opportunity to get to the 2 seed if the Bears stumble against the Lions. So, the Eagles have something to play for. In all likelihood, they probably will still remain as the 3 seed, but I am going to go with Philly this week. It's going to be a very interesting week for these two teams, but we'll see how things go this upcoming week. Finally, on Sunday Night Football, on January 4th, 2026, at 7:20 p.m. Central Standard Time, the final game of the 2025-26 NFL regular season, you got the Baltimore Ravens sitting at 8-8, taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers sitting at 9-7. We went from the Cowboys and Eagles to this. Wow. Yeah. The Ravens. Derrick Henry. This is what happens when you give him the ball. Steamrolled Green Bay and the Packers on Saturday on primetime. It was a really, really much needed game against the Ravens. And then they got help. The Steelers collapsed on offense against the Browns, only putting up 2 field goals, but that was all in that game on the offensive side of the ball. And yeah, it was just a rough game. They've been really missing DK Metcalf, who's going to be out for this game as well. So it's going to be a very, very big adjustment Pittsburgh has to make in order to win this game. Mike Tomlin may be coaching for his job in this one. I know the Steelers have claimed yet another winning season, but still, it's going to be a big blow if the Steelers cannot hold this lead in the division after claiming such a large lead at the beginning of the year. But the Steelers have a shot, and that's all that matters to them. It is in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh did claim the first game. However, the problem is 2 things. One, Pittsburgh's going to be lacking on offense without DK Metcalf. I don't think the offense is going to be out there for the Steelers if they can't put this stuff together. 2, if John Harbaugh is going to be coaching for his job, he needs to give Derrick Henry the ball. And, well, he did. And I think he's going to be able to do it more now. So, with that being said, my final pick in my pick'ems for the regular season is going to the Baltimore Ravens to take the AFC North and claim the number 4 seed. Which means if my every single pick of mine hits, we will be seeing this playoff picture in the AFC. The number 1 team with the bye by beating the Chargers is going to be the Denver Broncos. The number 2 seed by beating the Miami Dolphins is going to be the Patriots. The 3 seed is going by beating the Titans and winning the division is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. The 4 seed by winning Sunday Night Football is going to be the Baltimore Ravens. The 5 seed by beating the Colts is going to be the Texans. The 6 seed is going to be the Buffalo Bills by beating the Jets and having the Chargers lose to Denver. And the Chargers is going to be the 7th seed, which means we will get the following matchups in the wild card round. The LA Chargers going to Foxborough to battle the Patriots. The Buffalo Bills as the 6th seed traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. And the Texans going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. In the NFC, we will have the number 1 seed be the winner of this game, which I predict will be the Seattle Seahawks. The 2 seed will be the Chicago Bears after they take care of business against the Detroit Lions. The 3 seed will be the Philadelphia Eagles. The number 4 seed is going to be the Carolina Panthers. The 5th seed, by virtue of whatever happens in the NFC West, I believe should be the San Francisco 49ers. The 6th seed should be the LA Rams. And the 7th seed is going to be the Green Bay Packers, which means Our wild card matchups will be the Green Bay Packers taking on the Chicago Bears. The 7 versus 2 matchup. In the 6 versus 3 matchup, we'll have the Los Angeles Rams battling the Philadelphia Eagles, and the 5 versus 4 is going to be the San Francisco 49ers traveling to Charlotte take on the Carolina Panthers, with the Seahawks getting the only bye to the divisional round. But that's my predictions. It's been a wild ride of a season. I hated it as a Chiefs fan overall, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it a lot more than I do. Let me look this up to see if I got the No, okay. Correction, the Rams would be the 5 seed, so they'd go to Carolina. The 49ers would be the 6 seed, they'd take on Philadelphia. So that's a small twist. That's a small little adjustment. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed me picking this season. It's been a very, very wild ride. I hated it as much as anyone else does, but that's the game of football. You don't know anything until the games are played. But let me know what you guys think. I definitely will be doing this next year. I really did enjoy doing this quite a lot. I'm sitting at 161, 94, and 1. So I need to go 11 and 5 to keep my regular season record with under 100 losses. That's going to be kind of tough. But we'll see how things go. I'm going to be doing a playoff version of this, which how that's going to work. Like I said, every single week I'm going to be predicting every single round game of that round. And during the wild card weekend, I'm also going to be presenting my playoff bracket, which won't change, but the picks I make in between may change. So you'll see how that works later on. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching the first stream of 2026. I shall answer this one question as well. I think it's going to be like a 35-point game, mostly in favor of Baltimore, but we'll see. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to share the channel around. It helps me grow. I'm at 191 subs. We're 9 away from 200. Help me get there, hopefully before February. I'm looking to do Among Us tomorrow. I'm looking. I'm going to see if I can get the people to do it, but if not, we'll find something else to do on Saturday. But welcome to 2026, everyone. I hope everyone has a happy new year. We're looking to progress more on the channel and as a community. So I'm hoping you guys will help me take there to the next level. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for this amazing NFL season, even though I hated it. I'll see you guys for the postseason if you're specifically watching for this. And if not, you're just watching my channel in general. I'll see you guys tomorrow. See you later, peeps. Thanks for watching.